Hello, welcome to yet another session of Sati Speaks on Global Trade and Geopolitics, powered by NavaTies, an international trade and engagement platform. NavaTies provides you all services and solutions that is required at your export-import activities, whether it is from preparation activities or to consignments or any other services. You can find it in NavaTies. Few days back I was doing this session for Government of Karnataka activities put in order to promote exports from the state, and while I was talking about a variety of jargons and information related to exports, I realized one thing. We have this alphabet C, ABC. The alphabet C plays a very important role in the international trade activities. Many of the jargons, many of the informations start from letter C. So in today's session, I want to stress about those 10 major important items that start from the letter C. The first C is company setup. You know, for your products to export, you cannot just export like way. You need to have a company. You need to set up a company that tells about you and then how you do it and what is that you are a bona fide company or bona fide person in order to export. The company can be in any format. It can be a proprietorship, a partnership, or a full-fledged company. So company setup is very important for you to start your export activities. Second thing is the country. Which country to export? What are the countries to select? How to select a country, right? Because you have to export means it is between your country and to another country, right? Which country, which is a suitable country for your product, which is the country where more imports are happening, to where you should export, where are the new opportunities, variety of things are there. Knowing the country to which you want to export your product becomes very important. Since that section is very vast, I will take a secure or separate session on talking only about countries and how to select those countries for your export activities. The third thing, now you have a company and you have a country. Then what happens for you to export? You need to understand the compliances for you to export. Compliance are what? Compliance are rules, the laws, the guidelines, the regulations that any organization, the country sets up for you to do your export activities. These compliances define how you should export your product and what are the rules of the game that you should follow to export to those countries. The compliances are from the perspective of exporting from your country to importing in the other country. It is very important. Among the compliances, there is one which is very important type of compliance. That is our fourth item, which is certification. What are certifications? Certifications are a bona fide document that is provided by the government bodies, the trade bodies, or few acceptable bodies which will certify that you are providing the product in a way that is necessary to be exportable, that can be exported. It talks about the quality, it talks about the composition, it talks about a variety of things. There are a variety of certifications that you can have based on your product, your industry, your organization, the country where you are trying to export to, the packaging type you are exporting it to, and variety of things. So having certifications is very important for you in order to do activities. Then fifth item is your customers. You have to sell your product to a customer, isn't it? So having the right set of customer is very important for you in order to export your product. Who is your buyer, right? The buyer, evaluating your customer, evaluating the customer's activities that you can export to, evaluating what he is importing, and is he a bona fide customer, is he a fraud, or is it a genuine person. You'll have to evaluate those things. It is very, very important that you understand more about your customer in your export activities. Then once you have identified your customer and you have negotiated, you need to provide something called as costings. So customer will always ask you for a quote for which you have to create your costing. The costing is not just your product price. There's a variety of things that a costing will consider in the international trade. The product price is just one part of it. It also takes into consideration of the packaging that you do, the way you package your products for that customer, the way you transport those products, the way you send it into the international world. Then it also talks about how you engage and structure around across the organization setup. Subpart to the costings is doing a lot of calculations. So in an international trade, you require something called as calculator in order to arrive at a particular set of costings. The calculators can be your forex rates, forex calculators. What is the conversion rate between India, INR and say USD? So those things are important. Second type of calculator could also be commodity rates. The commodity rates talk about if you are an exporter of commodities, then you can understand what are the commodities, the rates of today's rate for you to generate your costings. And the third also type which is important is your logistic rates. So for you to do your costings, you need to understand what is the cost to send a product from city A to city B, port A to port B. So it is very important that you understand the calculators. Now once you have provided your costings and to the customer and the customer accepted, then you prepare for your consignment. The next C is your consignment. Consignments talk about how sending the whole process of sending your product from your warehouse to your customer's warehouse, where your responsibility lies, where other person lies, where other person's responsibility lies. In these consignments, there is another C which is very important, that is the customs. Customs is one department under the government which is responsible of making sure your products are getting exported in the standard way and there is no problems in your products to be exported. So the customs department is going to tell you whether you can send that product or not, or if you have to send the product, then what all documentation is necessary in order to be sent along with your product. So they will define what can be sent, how it can be sent, and what are the things that is required in order to export your product. So then once you have sent your product, the last important C is your cash, right? Receiving your money, receiving your money payments from your customers. Receiving payments, there are a variety of methodologies, but something that you'll always have to keep in mind in your international trade is that the method of receiving has to be a bona fide way. the transaction has to be through banks, through systems that have been acceptable by the International Chamber of Commerce as well as World Customs Organizations and your country's central banks, RBI in India or the banks in any country, Singapore National Bank in Singapore. Likewise, there are so many national banks or central banks which will define the rules of how you should receive. It is very important because if you don't receive your cash in the right format and that is acceptable and by way of which you can define that for these particular goods this amount was received, then otherwise it will become a violation and it may be treated as hawala money, and for which penalties may applicable or even sometimes jail may happen because it is considered as criminal offense. So now that you have understood all kinds of C's, the important part of C's, if you see, just look at it, each and every C is part of your export life cycle. Whether it is company setup at the beginning of your export life cycle to identifying your countries to which you are exporting, understanding the compliances for export activities, understanding the certifications for your export activities, then searching for your customers for your export activities, then understanding the compliance, the costings for your export activities, then comes calculating for your using the calculators for your costings, then planning your consignment activities using various customs departments, and finally receiving your cash. These 10 C's play a very important role, and it is very important as an exporter for you to understand all the C's. In my future videos, I am going to talk in more depth about each and every C, and we hope you get more information about it. Now, little bit about NavaTies. NavaTies as an international trade platform provides every solutions and services related to these C's. We give you all trade and information related to setup your trade related information for you to identify the country. We'll provide you all information related to the compliances and certifications required for your exports, and we also help you identify various customers or chambers of commerce for you to engage with those people. And finally, we also assist you in your export related activities, in your consignment activities, help you in the logistics, help you manage your customs activities, and finally we assist you in getting your cash at various levels. And finally, we also have something called as catalog, where you can set up your products and services and promote it to the world. So register today at navaties.com and get your first 1000 credits free. Until the next session, this is Satish Kota signing off. Bye.